Are you stuck? How about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for Magical Moments with Alena as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. In just 60 minutes, Alena will help you take control of your life and push you to do the things you never thought you'd do. So get ready to take back your power and celebrate life with Magical Moments featuring Alena Chapman.
Welcome to Magical Moments, my friends. It is time for that ease and that betterment in your life. Don't we deserve that? Especially now as everything starts to open up, we start coming out of our homes. And you know, I've got an interesting, well, no, not just interesting. Let's be real. This is a fantastic magical nugget for you. Right for this time. It's perfect. And as we're stepping out, you know what, guys? It's spring. It's spring. And spring is the time of new life. You know, I just love it. The trees are shaking off all that ice, and now they're getting their buds. The ground, along with the sun, has melted that wonderful blanket of snow that just kept everything so snuggly and warm. But now it's gone. It's just gone. And instead, we have a beautiful life blooming forth, coming out everywhere. I was driving in and the forsythias are all blooming. The crocuses are out. The daffodils in my yard are all over the place. It's just life. And the sun is shining. So, it's time. Yes, it is time. It is time for us. It is time for us to shed. Just shed off all that stuff that doesn't serve us. All that stuff that pollutes our soul, our spirit, our bodies. Goodbye. Let it go. Let it just go right off of us like the snow went off of the ground. Let it just fall right off. It's time to shed whatever is not going to help us step out of our homes into really a new world. And we can't do that if we are crowded with stuff. If we're still wearing that cloak of everything that doesn't serve us, that doesn't help us grow, that doesn't present the very best true self of us. Instead, it just clouds it. We got to take off that cloak and just throw it away. So I thought today, you know, it's nice to say this, and you're all sitting there saying, oh, Alena, that's wonderful, but how do I do this? Very simply. I'm going to give you 4 right now. So get a pen. If you're in the car, then watch the podcast afterwards. Make sure you get this. This is important. First of all, who are you hanging around with, folks? Who are you hanging around with? Are you feeling heavy after conversations? Do people drain you? Are some people giving you life and making you feel vibrant? Are others draining you? The ones that are draining you, back away. You don't need it. They're sucking it right out of you, every little bit of life. Don't even bother with it. If you feel heavy after a conversation, then it's not for you. It's not on the right vibration. You're delving into another vibration that's not right for you. Just let it go. Number 2, what are you listening to? Are you listening to stuff that makes you happy, that makes you feel grateful, that makes you feel absolutely just fabulous? You want to sing in your car? Or are you listening to stuff that makes you angry and you yell at the person in front of you in your car? That's a definite sign. One is not making you happy. One is not bringing out that beauty in you. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be oblivious to the news, but you don't have to listen to it all the time. You can only be so informed, folks. Come on. And so you're just aggravating yourself. Let it go. Let it go. And then, this is the big one. Habits. Habits. What habits are not serving you? This is a real big one. You know, I had to shed a habit. Okay, so you know, I'm not a morning person. Everybody who knows me knows that. I'm the person who loves the nighttime. I love it. I love dusk. I love the sunset. The sunrise is nice if I see it. I like the sunset. And then I start getting going. My mind just clicks on and it's like I come alive. So, all right. But in the morning, I have to drop my son off at school, which is early. And so I was doing this thing where I was getting up right before I took him to school. And then the whole few minutes that I'm up, I'm like rushing to get my child to school. Now, this habit I got myself into did not serve me, because what happened was once I dropped off my son, I was like, oh, now what? And every morning this would hit me. It's like, I just felt unsettled. Okay, I reached my goal. I did it. It's morning. Can I go back to bed, or what should I do? Can't go back to bed. So I thought, okay, I got to change this habit because this is draining me. It's weird. I don't like it. And I started to just get up earlier, get myself ready, maybe do a little bit of yoga. Ooh, just a little bit stretching, because it's really early and we don't want to strain ourselves. So just a little bit of yoga and doing some gratitude, have maybe a cup of tea, that wonderful first sip in the morning. And then my son would be ready to go to school. We go to school. I feel collected. I feel like, okay, I can get on with my day. Look at that. I shed one bad habit and look at what happens to my whole day. It's changed. So what habit in your life in this beautiful springtime can you shed off of yourself so that you can start bringing forth the very best of the life in you? Let's make this a fantastic spring. All right. And so now, I told you might like that magical nugget. I have an incredible guest today. She is, I just think she is brilliant. She just comes up with the neatest little things. And also she knows and understands how important it is for us to really accept and love ourselves. Here we go, guys. Yes, there's no greater gift you can give to yourself and other people than if you love yourself. Now, Alexa Silvaggio. I love that. It brings back my Italian heritage. She is a wellness entrepreneur based in Los Angeles. She is a yoga instructor, writer, podcast host, retreat leader, and CEO of, wait, this is the best part, Savage Chocolates. I really do want to try one. A mindful chocolate brand. She encourages you to cultivate a more loving relationship with your body and self. I love that. And she helps you do that. And with that, I would like to bring on Alexa. Hello, hon. How are you?
So lovely to connect to you. And that introduction was so glorious. And everything that you just offered us was such a gift. So thank you for making my morning.
Thank you. Well, it is spring, isn't it? And when it's spring, it's time to shed those things. Start to love ourselves.
Yes, we got to shed it. We got to make the space.
We got to make the space. Now, okay, so now you are doing like incredible things. You're really on top of it. And I love the idea of the chocolates. And you're heart-centered, and I can tell that your heart is, your whole chakra and everything is just open. It's gorgeous, just with a little bit of talking to you. So now I want to back up. What got you here? Why did you even start this journey?
Yes, absolutely. I firmly believe that when we have a mess in our life, that can turn into a really, really powerful message. Yeah. And that's really what I did. I had a big mess around my body. I had a big mess around my relationship to food. I had a pretty severe eating disorder for a number of years.
What caused that? I mean, why? I mean, well, okay. I grew up in no, let's not age ourselves more. I grew up when the effects of the Twiggy, Remember Twiggy in the 60s, and then the 70s and the 80s, we were still in the Twiggy stage. She was the first really, really thin model. And girls were like, when I was growing up, with anorexia was like a common word. That was like, it was everywhere. Bulimia, girls were throwing up everywhere. I loved my pasta. I was still thin, so I didn't worry about it.
Good work. Well, first of all, I totally hear that. And second of all, it's such a manifestation. You're talking about self-love.
Yeah.
I always say that an eating disorder, or really, frankly, any kind of compulsive behavior, be it alcoholism, be it shopping addiction, be it anything, it's really an act of disconnection from self and an act of self-loathing versus something like yoga or something like meditation or these practices that you are sharing with us. These are acts of self-care, self-love, acts of connection to self. And so really my anorexia was just an expression of denial of self. It was an expression of self-loathing. It was an expression of fear. And it kept me figuratively and literally small. I actually was a Broadway actress for many years. I lived in New York for 12 years. And, it was tough because I worked a lot as an anorexic person, in the theater industry. I really did very well, which was beautiful in that way because it was what I had set myself to do. But, I hit a rock bottom, and it was time to make some shifts. And I really got into the yoga and meditation world, and it really changed my life.
Isn't it funny? Because a lot of women, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I haven't met a lot of men who do the same thing we do. We really seem to do the food thing. Everything is food. Everything that when we don't like ourselves, we eat. When we're nervous, we eat. When we're sad, we eat. When we're happy, we eat. When we seem to equate food as the oasis of life.
Right. Well, I think, of course it affects both men and women, but I will say primarily for women, if you think about it, we're the nurturers in so many ways. And so how do we nurture ourselves? And that's one of the primary ways that we nurture others. And so I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think for so many women, we're really taught to not, hurt others or not put it out there. There's more of an aggressive nature, in the masculine archetype. Yeah. And that's not that doesn't have to do with gender as much as just feminine and masculine. But I think women, when we tend to have self-loathing, it tends to go more inward, like we turn it towards ourselves, whereas masculine in its archetype tends to go outward. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be belligerent and make it about you guys being messed up, versus women tend to turn it in and turn that self-loathing towards self. And that's right. That's 100. That is humongous. So when you, that's very true. Now, not everyone is going to turn to yoga or some, although that, and meditation, although that's, a lot of people seem to have trouble with meditation. Well, it takes time. And so it's strategic baby steps. Everything is strategic baby steps, folks. But absolutely. What made the realization when you crashed and burned? Because a lot of people crash and burn. I knew I was in the performance world too, more the classical. I wanted to be the Broadway singer like you. But we got the Gilbert and Sullivan and Traviata story. So beautiful. But this is the thing. When I met the ballerinas and anorexia and ballerinas at that time was just really big. And when I just look at it, here these women, they hit bottom. I mean, they are so thin and they're not happy in their personal life. And all they're doing is just dancing. I mean, it's sad. So they don't wake up. They don't say, wait a minute, this isn't right. What made you wake up? It was a little bit of divine intervention. I had been on a tour with a show, and I hadn't seen my family in about 6 months because I was touring. Yeah. And you can do a lot of damage in 6 months of eating the way that I was eating. And I was on the airplane going back home, and I knew that I was thin, but, you have the body dysmorphia, so I wasn't really sure what exactly I looked like. And,
right.
I had this book with me that I had forever. Like, I had had it since I was 15 years old, and I was 21 at this time. Not forever, but, I'd had it for a number of years, but for some reason hadn't actually read it. And I was reading Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, which is just like a very staple, yeah.
Love,
it's a very,
love that. I still use that book,
Oh, yeah.
It's a good book. Yeah.
It's so good. It's a classic. And she actually talks about anorexia in there. And I read the section and I was like, that kind of resonates. And, I was sitting on the airplane, and for some reason I had kind of a hunger pain, which when you're really sick, you don't really feel very hungry anymore. It's kind of like just it shuts off. And I was hungry, and the flight attendant came by, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll order a tomato juice because I know there's some calories in that, just to hold me over for a bit. And I looked at the can, and, you got to read every little bit when you're anorexic. So I read the nutrition labels, and it had 50 calories in it. And I just looked at the flight attendant, I handed it back. I said, I'll take a Diet Coke instead.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, for some reason, me having that action after reading that book, I was just like, oh, wow, Alexa, you have a problem. Like, this is a problem. Like, you just turned away 50 calories, And then I saw my sister after that. She picked me up at the airport, and she was just like, what happened to you? So it was like, I saw it, the book saw it, my sister saw it, and then I just kind of journeyed from there. Right?
You were blessed. That's a blessed intervention. That's exactly what that is.
Amen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you had the foresight, and you congratulations to you, because you accepted it. A lot of people don't, and when you accept it, then you can make the changes. But if you stay in denial and you don't make the changes, but my gosh, you did. So then all of a sudden you just decided I'm trying to show people the next step, because there's a lot of people who were in your story. And so the next step, they just didn't all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to go do mindfulness.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was part of the divine intervention too. My sister took me to my first yoga class the next day. And, I have to say, I hated it. I didn't like it. And to this day, I still don't love it. It's not that it's like this thing that I love. It's this thing that keeps me in my body.
Yeah.
And it's this thing that keeps me present. And it's from that place of presence that I can make choices that actually feel good, and choices that are for my highest and best good. It's like,
it is.
So you have to be really unconscious to be starving yourself.
Yeah.
So from that place of consciousness, we can make a better choice. We can start to nourish ourselves in a meaningful and potent and powerful way. And that was such a huge part of it. And of course, there was therapy. There was all sorts of interventions. It wasn't just yoga saved my life. That was a huge part of it.
Yeah, you had to change your whole self-image, you thought of yourself. It's funny, you made a comment, and it's so incredibly true. Because when I was a teenager, I went through my bout too. I went through the bout of not eating when I was 14 and 15. And not that I don't know if I would categorize myself totally into the anorexia, but I wanted to be thin. So I started to not eat, and I remember that mindset. When you said that, it shot me back to that time. And I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't in my body. I was outside judging my body.
Yes, exactly. And some of us never get into it. Some of us never get in the body.
No. We stay outside judging our body. Oh, I'm too thick here. Oh my gosh, I can't eat. Look at that. I can pinch. Oh my God, I can pinch.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all on the outside looking in. Yeah. And the yoga brought you back in. Well, everything, the mindful breathing, it's coming back into you and being you. And that's what it did for you. So, all right. So then you started to get into this business of mindfulness. This love came. The love started to happen, huh?
Exactly right. And, it was such a practice. That's it. It's like being comfortable in the discomfort of choosing myself, of taking care of myself. It's not the most comfortable thing when you're not used to it, but you do it just like you do your yoga practice, and it becomes more habituated. And, I found this like strange juxtaposition where we'd be on the yoga mat or on the meditation cushion and we'd be very in our body and very present and full of self-love. And then we'd like get on the freeway and be like flipping the bird at people. It's like this weird, like, oh, okay, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And, and I found that especially with clients, I've taught people all over the world from everywhere from Thailand to Italy to wherever. And everywhere I taught these people, there was this weird, like, you get off the mat and all of a sudden you check out. And
yeah.
And
they leave it in the room. Yeah, they leave it in the room with the candles and everything. And yeah.
Yeah, which is so not the point.
No, it's not.
And so I wanted to create a product that would remind us, to actually be embodied, not just on the yoga mat, but while we eat. Because we've all gotten to the bottom of our ice cream bowl or like finished that bar of chocolate and been like, oh my God, did I just seriously eat that whole thing? I don't even remember doing it. It's like over our head. And not only does that leave us generally feeling guilty, but then we also didn't get to receive any pleasure from it.
Right.
And that's just like not what this life is about.
No.
We're supposed to experience pleasure and we're supposed to experience, these beautiful gifts like a meal or like anything can be savored, right? Like this conversation with you,
yes.
I'm really savoring it. I'm
Me too.
enjoying it. Like I'm really like present for it because you're a joy to talk to. Your energy is beautiful, but like, and that's just the truth. But like, how often do we have those conversations where we're totally disembodied, we're totally checked out, we're thinking about the 10,000 other things that we have to do that day, or we're thinking about the thing that happened 10 years ago because it's still ruminating in our mind versus just being with what is right now.
It is.
And so that's how Savage happened.
I've traveled. You've traveled. Don't you find in America, here we are. And we and it really doesn't matter where you are in America, maybe except if you're alone in the woods, off the grill, as they say, off into but if you go to France, if you go to Italy, oh my gosh, Italy. Yeah. You find, I got lost in Florence. Of course, I'm always getting lost. Oh, it was easy. Yeah, it was a great. Oh God, it was great. And we had gone to the outdoor market, and I wanted a leather skirt. So everybody said, "Well, we want to go back," and I said, "Well, no, I'm going to stay and look." Listen, if anybody's not been to Italy, they really need it. I mean, men just start singing arias to you. Arias, not rock and roll, but arias.
Right.
But I got lost and started going into the back streets. So what did I see? I saw kids playing soccer, or they call it football, and they're kicking around the ball, and overhead, because it's like you're walking down sort of an alley, but it's not like an alley. It's all people live there, and you hear the women talking from across. Then you can smell the sauce, and it was life. And I saw an easement, and I saw interaction, and I saw this letting go of the pressure, of the go, of the nonsense being busy to be busy. I saw everything being sacred.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what we have to get back to. I think our culture perpetuates this feeling of having to be better, having to be perfect, having to be, God, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You've got to achieve. You've got to make it to the top. You've got to be the one person at the top. Yeah. We push that. And so everything in our journey we throw aside because the goal is the goal. It's that brass ring, and we're going to just keep spinning around in our circle until we get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that causes a lot of the self-loathing because we aren't perfect. There's no such thing. We aren't having that brass ring. It's hard. We feel like we have to punish ourselves to get there. I mean, speak a little bit about that, because I know I'm working on Broadway, you experienced that. I know you did.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. In the words of Brene Brown, most of us go to bed thinking, I didn't get enough done. And we wake up thinking, I didn't get enough sleep. And it's like this just lack, like lack. The archetype of American culture is the renegade, it's the rebel, it's the entrepreneur. Those are all powerful, potent, meaningful things. But if you don't balance them with the feminine, receptive, the ease, the joy, the pleasure, then you're just waking up, paying your bills, and dying.
Yeah.
It's like there has to be a negotiation, a truth. You go to, like you said, like you go to Italy and there's this reverence for, they call it the belle far niente. Yes. It's the art of doing nothing, the belle far niente. It's beautiful. It's like, this is it. This is our day. Like, we're waking up. I'm enjoying this 4-hour meal. It's this thing. Yes, I worked for a few hours, but then I went home and I had, a bottle of wine with my husband and I, did, it's like, there's just a receptivity to life versus the American culture where we push through life. It's like, I'm going to create this. It's like you were saying. And,
exactly.
it's a beautiful thing to be able to push if we can also pull back and experience and savor those moments, because it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be watching a sunset. Like you said, you're a night person. Like, you like to watch the sunset. Like,
I love the sunset.
Yes, and that is so beautiful as long as you can really take it in and experience it.
Yes.
Because these things are precious. Like, the one thing that every single one of us will run out of is time. I may never run out of food, not in this culture. Maybe some of us, will run out of, maybe we won't run out of money, we won't run out of friendships, but we will all run out of time.
Yes.
And so to slow it down, to pause, to breathe, and to savor the moment.
To just enjoy.
Really,
it's big. When we're going to take a break, I hate to do that, but we're going to take a break. And I want to give people the ways we can start to breathe. I do the same thing, but people have to see the self-care is so important. Without the self-care, we have nothing to give, folks. Nothing.
Amen.
So we will be right back. This is Magical Moments. And when we get back, let's follow some of the things we're going to teach so that you can start self-care to yourself.
You're listening to Magical Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner purpose. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Welcome back to Magical Moments. All right, so we have talked to Alexa Silvaggio about this body, how we punish ourselves. And that's really what it is. How we just we're not even in the body. We just punish it. And it's just an awful place to be. We overeat, then we try to get rid of it. We push ourselves to the limit. We don't feel rested. We just punish ourselves that we don't do enough. We've talked about the whole gamut. We're pretty darn hard on ourselves. But there's another way. And in this half hour, we're going to start talking about how do we live this other way? How do we start to enjoy the moments and just start to live like we're supposed to live? And Alexa, so we were talking about Italy and me getting lost in Florence.
Looking for a leather skirt, of course.
Oh, yeah. But how can we in our own life, I always talk about treating life sacred. Sacred moments. I teach that a lot. And how do you bring each moment alive in a sacredness? But it's people have this mindset that they get, this is what happens. They get into that, like really relishing that sunset. And maybe they do it for a week, but then they get antsy. Because the old paradigms, the old habit starts creeping back into their mind. I really should be doing this. Oh my gosh, I really should be doing those dishes. Or I really should be writing that report. And before you know, they start it creeps into that moment. They start out with good intentions, but they get waylaid. You know what I mean? And then before they know it, they're back into that cycle of punishing ourselves again. We just we just can't keep it. And what do you say for that? I mean, how's some way that someone says, okay, yeah, I've tried this. I understand what you're talking about, but boy, it's hard.
Oh my God, of course it is. And first of all, what I will say is that it's a practice. So this isn't, people say all the time, like, oh, this is your life, like live it, like it's the one thing. Yes, but also accepting and adopting this compassionate outlook to self, that this is a practice, that we are hardwired in this culture to do the should, to do the pushing, to do the thing. And the thing that I remind myself of is every time I find myself saying I should be doing this instead is get present. Because when we are doing that should dance, we're looking to the future for all the things that we need to be completing. And then B, and I'll go through a way to get present in a moment, but B, noticing that when we are in that should, right, that actually that's a way of keeping us safe, right? Our ego is trying to keep us on task. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. You should be doing it. It's like a drill sergeant.
But it's an awful drill sergeant. What we really need.
Yeah. Yes.
Doesn't stop.
But having compassion for that drill sergeant, because the drill sergeant isn't there to be a meanie.
No.
The drill sergeant is there to keep you on task because it thinks that that's going to keep you safe, alive, feeding your family, and all of those things. So when that voice pipes up, oh, sweetheart, oh, thank you so much for trying to keep me safe, but frankly, I'm just trying to write a poem. Right? Or, oh, sweetheart, thank you so much for trying to keep me on task. But right now, the task is my breath work. Oh, sweetheart, thank you so much. You're a little loud. I'm going to put you in the back seat.
Yeah.
Because the thing is if you just try to berate the drill sergeant, oh my God, shut up, you're mean. It's just going to get louder.
Yeah. And it really does help. It really does help when you say, all right, so your ego comes in and says, oh my gosh, you have got to take care of this. You've got to take care of this today. And you just have to breathe, like you said, just breathe and say, all right, but not right this moment. And we'll take care of it this afternoon, but not right this moment. And you know what, guys, that really does appease the ego. But then in the afternoon, schedule some time to take care of whatever you need to take care of. This is the thing. I think that we don't understand that sometimes we get lost in the shouldas of the ego. So, the should'ves, the like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and I should be creating this, and and then you start obsessing about it, and it's like this little bubble you put yourself in, and it actually doesn't get done. But you've lived in this.
And it just expends your energy.
Yes.
It's exhausting.
And you feel exhausted and you feel like you've run a marathon and you're too tired to do what you were supposed to do.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
The irony.
My mother was like this, and it was, and it gets so bad. It got so bad for her. And I remember I told her something about my brother one time and she goes, oh, now I have to worry about that. I said, Mom, he's in another state. What are you going to worry about? She goes, I don't know, but I got to worry. I said,
we get addicted to our worrying.
Yes, we do. I said, Mom, do you hear yourself? And she started laughing. She goes, yes, but she goes, Alena, I'm choosing to worry. I said, all right, fine.
I love it. But, I love that you just brought that word forward because the word worry actually comes from an old English word, wygrin, which means to strangle. So when we are in worry, we are strangling the moment. And what's the opposite of being strangled?
Freedom, breathing, being alive.
Freedom, yes, and breath. Yeah. And breath. Like, get present, breathe. Yes, breath is freedom. Breath is being alive. It's literally called your life force.
Everyone, if you're in your cars, wherever you are, just let's all take a really good big breath. Fill our bellies.
Yeah.
Wow. Doesn't that feel good?
It's the best.
It really is. Yeah. It clears my mind immediately. So, all right. So we've got the person who's worrying and they punish themselves when they don't stay in the sacred moment. I mean, I always send people out in nature. I figure get away from society for a little while, folks. But for you, what do you think is a really good first step for people?
Yeah, well, if people are needing to reconnect to themselves, there's two very visceral ways to do that without needing to go anywhere or do anything. And I'm with you. If I can get to nature, that is the best. But if it's just immediate, I notice what's actually happening right now. Like right now, I'm sitting on my couch. So I notice that my right elbow is on the crest of the couch, and I notice that my feet are touching the ground, and I notice that I'm actually looking out my window, and I can hear the sound of my dog snoring. So there's that.
I love that.
And so starting to notice what is around you right this second. And then the other thing that is constantly happening, of course, is our breath.
Yeah.
And, the first thing that we ever did upon entering the planet was breathe. And that breath has managed to stay with us every single moment ever since. And so if we want to connect to the now, if we want to connect to presence, well, we just have to notice our breath. So even noticing these little details, people don't know what noticing the breath is because it's so kind of blanketed that you can notice as you inhale through the nose. Notice how the breath is a little cooler as it enters your nostrils, and how as you exhale through the nose, it's slightly warmer because the breath has now been heated by your body. You can notice which nostril is a little bit more plugged up because we always have one. You can notice if the breath has a certain texture, or maybe you can associate a color with it, or maybe take in the smells around you, right? These little tiny details, get specific, take it down to the moment. That's how we get into our body. And that's also how we savor whatever it is that's in front of us, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a piece of chocolate, whether it's a sunset, or whether it's, whatever, nature.
That's cool.
Part of the reason nature does that is because it's awe-inspiring. It makes us pause.
Yeah.
We go, oh my God, this is magnificent.
Yeah.
And when we get out of our rigmarole, right, then we have the tendency to, okay.
And then we open up to the energy of the nature. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
that's when it's magical. Yeah. I think, it is funny. It is so funny that, we all get busy minds. I don't care who you are. Maybe if you're Dalai Lama, you don't. But I have a feeling he even has his moments. We all have our moments where something is in our mind. And I've always noticed that when I get into my mind too much and not into my rest of my body, my dogs will tell me. It's my dogs. They're saying, Mom, where are you? Mom. And my boys they're all grown, but they do their own life. But the dogs are still there every moment. And they just kind of say, Mom, what about us? And then that will snap me out of it. It'll snap, and I'll say, oh, my guys. And I'll give them a big hug, and I think, yeah, you were almost in that bubble, girl. You don't need that. But I don't punish myself. And guys, that's the most important thing. Loving yourself, or even accepting yourself, is we all have those times when something is bothering us. We all have those times when something will creep into our sacred mindfulness and our being present and kind of stick there like glue. It's our job to say, wait a minute, that's not where I need to be. And it's not that you're ignoring it. You're not ignoring it. You're putting it in perspective. And I'm going to give one little basic exercise that really helps. If you find yourself getting into that, just put it on a piece of paper. Do a T-bar. My dad loved T-bars. Just put on the T-bar, the problem, the pros and the cons. Everybody knows it. I love this. I still use this 30-something years later. And then what you do is you put it on your dining room table, and that's where that problem sits. And so I did this. I just did this because I'm doing the estate of my mom. So I put, separating the estate, and I put the pros and cons, and at the bottom, how. One step how. And then every time I went by the table, that's when I'd sit for a minute and concentrate on it. Then when I get up, I leave it.
Beautiful.
I don't take it with me. But every time I come by that table, I sit down and I do a little bit. Then I leave it. It's a wonderful training. And guess what? You're actually doing what you're worrying about, but it's not consuming you.
Beautiful. I love that.
It's a really good exercise. Thanks to my dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks,
Beautiful. And it's so true. It's like that
It is
old
true.
quote, no amount of anxiety will change the future, and no amount of fear will change the past. It's like you can stay in anxiety all you want, but it's not going to change the outcome. In fact, it'll probably make it worse.
When you're mindful and when you are more open to you and your peace, that's when you want to do action for things. You don't get stuck. The worry keeps you from acting on stuff, believe it or not. It strangles you, like you said.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's incredible. So, all right. Okay, we got to get to the good part. I mean, this is the good part. This is the part I love. The Savage chocolates. How did they come into being? I love that name.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, I'm going to definitely have to send you some. So
I adore you. Oh my gosh.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
I would love some.
Well, as we, you and I, of our Italian heritage, Silvaggio actually means savage in Italian.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a product that would remind people to pause, breathe, and savor before they ate. And so, Savage was born out of a number of things, but it actually began when I was teaching a yoga retreat in Tulum. I was in Mexico, and I was teaching there, and there was actually a chocolate making course, and I learned, from a Mayan woman how to make chocolate. And I was like, this is really great, but I think I can jazz this up and, make it potentially scalable and teach what I'm teaching on the yoga mat, off the yoga mat, through a product. So that was really the idea. And I just played around for a few months with, ingredients and recipes and really figured out how to make it on my own and infused it with the teachings of pausing, breathing, and savoring. So it's a mindfulness experience, and it is really that permission slip for pleasure. Just like the Italians do, you don't sit down and eat, for 2 seconds and then you go to work. It's an experience.
It is.
And even if it's just one little bite of chocolate, it is still a receiving of pleasure. And so through the packaging, I remind us how to do that. And actually when you do buy Savage, when you purchase it, you get access to 1 month free of online yoga and meditation. So you have to practice on the mat, you have to practice off the mat. So it's just creating a more mindful lifestyle rather than this kind of weird separation between, I'm mindful now, but then it's, I'm unmindful in all of these other aspects of my life. And especially with food, we have the tendency, particularly as women, to check out around it.
Yeah, we do.
And we have such a hard time receiving the pleasure of it. So,
did you ever see the movie? Did you ever see well, I'm sure you did. Eat, Pray, Love?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. I know, me too. I actually, my inevitable you is I actually interviewed Elizabeth Gilbert in that program of mine. But
amazing.
Oh yeah. But when I saw that movie, I was taken by a few things. Well, first of all, if I go to Bali, you're darn right, I am going to find that flotation little thing where I can have my bed in those veils and wake up in the morning on the water. Oh my gosh, that's heaven. But here's the thing that I really found extremely interesting. That scene where she bought this negligee, or kind of like a negligee, and then she was in Italy. Yeah. And she got herself asparagus, an egg, something else. And then she went and sat down in the sun in her place.
Yes.
And just ate in peace.
Yeah. That was it. That's all it needs to be.
That's right.
Yes.
I call that just being.
Some big thing.
Just be. Yeah. We feel that it's so hard for us to think that's okay. And yet I think that's the very first step to do so that you could put that chocolate on your plate. You could maybe dress in a beautiful robe that you love or whatever.
Yes.
And sit down with a hot cup of tea and just breathe and be okay with it. Not have 50 million things going on in your head that the should-haves. Just be.
Yes.
That is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself.
Exactly. Beautifully said. And that's exactly what, the aim of Savage is.
It is.
To remind us that that's it. And that's really who we are. That's our nature. We've just gotten farther away from our nature. We need to get back to our savage roots, right?
Yeah,
to
we
who
have
we
to.
really are. And
Don't you find that the benefits of this, I mean, people say, okay, so fine, I care about myself. Yeah, I know. But I see big, giant benefits to what I have done. What about you?
Oh my God, beyond. I mean, it's a totally different life. I mean, I was trapped in the confines of my own mind. It was really it's like a bad neighborhood. You're just like, God, this is a rough town. Like, this is brutal, And
That's
now,
funny.
like, my mind is like a beautiful place to live. It's this body, this vessel that we live in. It's like, let's just make it feel good. Let's make it a place where the conversations are healthy rather than detrimental.
Yeah.
And it's from that place of caring for ourselves, at least for me and my experience and for the thousands of people that I've worked with, that when we begin that process of caring for ourselves, of accepting ourselves, of loving ourselves, not from a place of, oh, I care for myself and love myself when I do this, but just because we breathe. Well, that's actually when we show up in the world better.
Yes.
That's actually when we, because the truth is when we're obsessing or berating ourselves for what we should or shouldn't be doing, we're actually using a lot of energy that could be used for living a life on purpose.
Yeah.
That could be used for showing up in service. That could be used for, making this world a healthier, more beautiful, gracious planet. There's so much that could be done if we aren't spending our life hating ourselves,
Yeah. And I don't think people understand really how important this is. When you care for yourself, when you say, you know what? I like who I am. I like this. I like the progress I'm making. I like my smile. I like my laugh. I like being alive. I like just dancing when I want to dance. I like feeling freedom. This is important, guys. I know it sounds silly to some, like, don't you have something better to do? No, you don't, because when you start to like yourself, my gosh, all of a sudden things change. Meaning you don't attract the person in your life that is going to treat you like crap. You're not going to have the ghosting and the, what do they call that other term? Ghosting, gaslighting. You don't get that stuff because you don't put up with it. You're not going to have people put the subtle jokes on what you do or who you are, or subtle little, you're not even going to put up with it. You're not going to allow it around you. You start to put these healthy boundaries because you care about yourself.
Yes.
That's humongous. If you don't care about yourself and you don't care who you are and you don't feel that freedom, then you're letting everybody invade and feed the part of you that doesn't feel worth it. That's what you are doing. But when you start to care, you cut off that little road. No more, folks. Sorry, that road is closed. And you don't get the people. It's like, you don't accept me for who I am. I love you as a person. I wish you the very best, but I can't live that way. And that's the end of it.
Yes.
There's a lot to it. And at the job, you'll find that at your job, you won't just stay for the status quo. You'll do your best at whatever you really are doing. But then you'll go for lunch and you'll listen to music that nourishes you. You will have that beautiful chocolate, Savage chocolate, and you will sit there and just enjoy the moment, maybe find some water. You'll fit what you need in your life so that when you come back, you're refreshed, you feel good. You're not going to run on fumes because you care about yourself. Caring about yourself is so important. It all starts with you. The whole world starts with you. It's big. It's really big. And we never have given ourselves enough chance. And we were always told, especially as women, probably as men too, but since I'm a woman, I saw the woman's side. We're always told, well, don't think about yourself. You got to think about the other person. Now it's time to start thinking about ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just went on to my rant. There you go, guys. You get your rant.
We love it. We love a rant.
Well, I'm sure you have your rants too. You don't seem like you would not have a rant.
Oh, absolutely.
So the Savage chocolates, I'm in. I'm so in. You have got a fan there. And so how can people get these Savage chocolates, this yoga, everything that you present with this mindful, beautiful self-acceptance? How can they do that, Alexa?
Oh my God, such a gift. So you can actually go to savagelosangeles.com. It is a direct-to-consumer product, as well as we're sold in grocery stores, but primarily here in California at the moment. But we ship all over the United States. So, yes, savagelosangeles.com. And of course, when you purchase the chocolate, it comes with the yoga and meditation. It just is a little QR code that comes with the bar. So it's sealed and delivered. And yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the best way.
Oh, well, I'm in. And I think all of us should have a little chocolate in our life. Don't you think? I think so.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's vegan, it's paleo, it's the whole thing. So
it's healthy chocolate. Oh, my gosh.
Healthy. It's sustainly packaged.
And it's got a nice little sweetness. Still, we got to have that sweetness.
Oh, God, yes, of course.
A little bit of sugar helps all the paleo go down.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So good.
All of you out there, guys, Soul Manifesto, we are constantly just adding and adding and adding. Inevitably, I'll tell you, if you're frustrated and you really do feel stuck somewhere, and the world's starting to open up, but you're thinking, okay, I lost my job, or I feel crazy. I feel guilty for the way I felt with my kids. I just don't see a solution out there. I just want peace. I just want peace, or I just want something different. I remember in my life, that's why I developed the Inevitable You, because I was a place where, oh my gosh, I just wanted to step outdoors and shut the door behind me and don't let anybody follow me. I was frustrated. I was clouded. Everything was so clouded. Everybody was telling me who I should be, how I should do it, what I was allowed, what I was not allowed. You'd think I was a child. And I just didn't want to hear it anymore. I wanted to get some peace. I wanted to get back a piece of me. And so when I did the Inevitable You, I went back to those days. And I started to think, what were the first steps I really did to start on my path? What was really important for me to get the confidence in myself again? What was it in me that lit off the creativity in myself, to have the confidence to act on that creativity, to really believe in what I wanted to design in my life? That's the Inevitable You, guys. So you might be at a crossroads. Most people are right now. It's a new world. We're coming out of our homes slowly but surely. Where are you? And it can be frustrating. Inevitable You is at soulmanifesto.com. Elizabeth Gilbert's there. She has an incredibly different view on fear than I do. You want to conquer that fear? Let's get some ideas, And I'll tell you what, the people in that, I got top experts that are there, incredible heart-centered people that want to help you break out of wherever you are and into the glorious life that is waiting. Soulmanifesto.com. And again, Alexa, Silvaggio. I love that. I'm going to be saying that all day. Thank you so much for being our guest. You are fabulous. I love your chocolates idea. I haven't even had one and I love it. And guys, It's time. It's so time to shed all the stuff that doesn't serve us. It is so time. And remember, spirit is love. And when we start to take care of ourselves and we start to respect ourselves, oh my gosh, spirit dances, because that is really the ultimate. As always, namaste. Stay connected to yourself, stay connected to others, and stay connected to that incredible universe. You're listening to Magical Moments. I'll see you next week.
This has been Magical Moments with Alena, featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.